How cool is this? I'm talking to a woman who I love. I've only met a few times, but she has some great German history that we want to share. Being German, last name Schleicher, my friend Karen was born in Germany. The story I'll never forget that you shared with me, Karen, was you remember the bombs going off in World War II.
Yeah.
Do you want to share some of that?
We would go down into the cellar in order to be protected in case a bomb would hit the house we were living in. We were living in a 3-story apartment house. My dad was in the war, and my mom, she always would say, "I'm not afraid. God wird uns beschützen. God will take care of us. He will put his hands over us and we will be safe. God will keep us safe."
And God did.
And God did. Yeah.
Because God is good. One of the reasons I'm passionate about doing this is to keep the history alive. Because, if it was up to some people, this would all be erased. And I think it's important for people to know. Yeah. What are some of the memories that you have?
Yeah, I can remember when we would go those big places where Hitler would speak. And everybody would just scream, "Heil, Heil, Heil." And my dad was in the army. He was in the Air Force, in the Air Force. Never flew in a plane, was scared of height, but he was in the Air Force. And he would get reports from recognition flyers. The flyers, they fly over territory.
Yes.
And find out what they were able to see in regards to the enemy. And they would give my dad reports, and my dad would get the reports from the officers, and the officers would say, "These are 15 tanks in this area," and the truth was that they may saw 5 if they were lucky, but they always exaggerated the amount of whatever they said. My dad said, "I know why we lost the war, because we were fighting with artillery, which was only on paper, which was not in reality there."
Well, I always say there's your story, my story, and the truth.
Yeah.
Meaning there's 3 degrees of separation. Now I go I'm very careful as to what I watch for news, because you can get biased. You have to get accurate information.
Yeah.
You are the most accurate at the young age that you are. And to share this story, this will live forever.
Yeah.
Important.
Yeah. And we would get the enemy from Russia. The Russian planes came over to fly over Berlin.
Wow.
And then we moved to my grandparents, which lived in a small town out of Berlin. And we could see the planes flying over us in direction of Berlin. And we would always count them, how many planes would be flying over us. And we always were so grateful to our grandparents that we were living with them.
Yeah. Now, what year, how old were you when you left Germany?
When I left Germany, 20, Karen, how old was I?
26, 28.
Yeah. Only were able to move out of Berlin if my dad would have a job. So some friends who worked in the hospital, my dad, who was an officer, had to work in the coal mines in the Rhineland in order to get out of Berlin. And then it was a couple of years he was down in the mines. He was able to get a job for the government, and he was working for the border patrol between Holland and Germany. And that were good times.
Yeah, good times.
They were good times.
Good times.
Yeah.
The good old days.
The good old days.
So my advice is, I wish I had more video of my grandpa and my grandma. And so if you're watching this, take video or something of your ancestors, because we're not related. I'm probably, we are probably related, but we don't know it yet.
Who knows? Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that I think we need to have video of our ancestors, our friends, especially the experience. I mean, you lived through World War II.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Crazy time. Such a crazy time.
Yeah. You had your mom and your grandma that took care of you.
Yeah.
Any other memories you have that you'd love to share, that you would love for future generations to know?
Yeah, lots of memories which were not so good when we saw people being taken out of their homes by the what were they called?
SS.
By the SS. And a couple of years ago, with my late husband, we went to one of the camps here in California. No, it was in Germany. What am I saying? Charles came from France.
Auschwitz?
Huh?
Was it? No, Auschwitz was in Poland.
Yeah, Auschwitz.
Yeah.
What was this other one? The other camp. It was there in the area too. Anyway, it was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible. And granted, I cannot be made responsible for the mistakes of my elders.
Yes.
But it's terrible to think about it, that something like this is going on.
Well, that's why I say develop a testimony in Jesus, because Jesus is perfect, but man is not. Yeah. What memories do you have? Was the Americans were bombing?
Yeah, Americans and the Russians were
Tell her about the chocolate bomber.
Oh yeah, there we had some chocolate bombers. The Americans were getting those, what were they called, Karen? The packages of chocolate, the thin ones.
Hershey chocolate or something?
Your chocolates here in America, they are thin and small.
Oh, Hershey's?
Hershey bars.
Hershey bars, yes.
Yeah, but the flat ones, not
Yes.
with peanuts in it.
Yeah.
And they would put them, they would put out of paper and strings, they would put parachutes on them and then drop them out of their airplanes over the area. I was in a Catholic school in Berlin, and on top of the roof they had a white cross on it, and they always would drop the hot chocolates over the school. Not the hot chocolates, the chocolate bars over the schools, and we were always thrilled to go and get some.
I love that.
Yeah, and those were from the Americans who didn't eat the chocolates they got in their rations, but made little parachutes, chocolate parachutes out of them.
And sent them to you guys.
Yeah.
That is really
And
cool.
they also, you see, Berlin was parted between East Berlin and West Berlin. They also were dropping some of the chocolates over East Berlin, and the Russians went to the American, had some interactions with them, forbidding them to drop the chocolates out of the airplanes over East Berlin.
Didn't you meet the candy bomber, Mom?
Yeah,
That is so
we met the candy bomber.
cool. The pilot known as the chocolate bomber was Gail
Halvorsen.
Halvorsen.
Yeah.
He was also known as the Candy Bomber and Uncle Wiggly. Oh, I love that. In Wings, during the Berlin airlift, he and other pilots would drop candy and other supplies to children in Berlin. That is so cool.
Yeah.
And so he's actually on Google.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is pretty neat.
He's LDS.
Oh, so we're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and he's
He also was LDS?
yeah, he was a Latter-day Saint. There's actually quite a few movies. There's another movie, a war movie, of a guy who was a member of the Latter-day Saint Church.
Oh, yeah.
He was a frontline shooter, and he actually met people that he had a guy pointing a gun that was SSI. Is it SSI?
No, SS.
SS.
Yeah.
Who was SS, who was pointing a gun at him, and he goes, "Elder so-and-so, you taught me and baptized me," and he let him go.
Yeah.
And these are true stories. There's a lot of history with Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
And we don't care what religion you are. We just think there needs to be more love in this world. And more kindness. Just like the good old days.
Like the good old days.
Yeah. The days when things were made fresh and oh wow. My grandma used to do Thanksgiving for 30 people on 4 burners in her stove. No microwaves, nothing.
Yeah.
It was all served in glass.
Yeah.
None of this plastic stuff.
Yeah, my grandpa was working for the Deutsche Bundesbahn, the German train.
Oh, yes.
And where he was located, job-wise, was out of the city, more or less, and he was raising bees.
Oh, bees.
And had bees there. And with the bees, you were always able to send packages to your families, you know, and you would get some good
Lots of honey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of honey.
Some good honey.
Like living in Southern California?
I love living in
Or do you miss being in Germany?
No.
Yeah.
I came to California with my the husband of my children, and I never looked back.
Never looked back.
Yeah.
I love it.
If you work hard, you can really make it and achieve something in the States, which you cannot in Germany. You work your 40 hours a week, and anything over that, overtime, if you can get it, luckily, and if you cannot get it, then you work it what we call under the table, you know, in order to make a little bit of money.
Now, for any of your family members watching, what do you want to be known for? You raised a great daughter.
I raised a good daughter. I raised a good son, and I'm proud of my children. I'm proud of my family by marriage, and I'm so glad that I decided to come to the States. It's not that I don't like Germany. I like Germany too, but I like Germany more to visit and then turn around and come back. I like the weather. I like the freedom you have. And
we have the beautiful Pacific Ocean off to
ocean.
our right.
Yeah, look at those beautiful homes here.
Beautiful.
It's
And
a pretty
her
area.
daughter's taking my friend and Sandy and I to the airport, the Long Beach airport, to fly back to Utah, and then I fly back to Connecticut. Hop in the back seat. My luggage is back here. Get you talking.
Yeah, get me talking. Yeah, my grandpa, he had my grandpa on my dad's side, he had a train station restaurant between Poland and Germany. They would feed the officers in the evening, and then after the officers went home, they just locked the big area where they were fed, because they didn't have time to clean the area yet. because they had to fix with the restaurant, they had to fix the food for the soldiers who all went east. And I would sneak in there in the restaurant and look into those little glasses. There were kind of reddish fluid in there and greenish fluid in there. And I drank one after the other. It was tasting so good. Well, needless to say, when it was time to go to bed, they couldn't find me.
Oh.
Because I drank too much booze.
Oh.
I drank all the little liqueurs.
Oh, the liqueurs. Memories for you, I guess.
Those were good memories for
Yes.
me. Yeah.
To all the tables.
That's hilarious. I love it. Now, I remember in 1989 when the Berlin Wall came down.
Yeah.
What did that mean to you?
We were here in California celebrating in the Phoenix Club. It was,
You're celebrating.
and we were here celebrating at the Phoenix Club when the wall came down. And my grandparents, who lived in the eastern part of Germany, they were quite happy because Grandpa needed sometimes sugar to buy for his bees in order to go and, get honey. And when he did it one time, he did it on the black market, and they caught him, and he was imprisoned for 2 weeks for buying the sugar for his bees because it was against the law. At this time we had rationing, but the rationing counts.
Okay.
And they would be torn off those little, it would say maybe 5 pounds sugar for how many days, maybe for a month, who knows. And they would pull off your little, for the 5 pounds, this little slip, and then you couldn't buy any more sugar. You would have to get it on the black market if you needed it more. Crazy times.
Crazy
and then
times.
After Dad came home, he wanted out of Berlin, and we could get only out of Berlin if he would have a job somewhere in the West. And my dad got the job in the coal mines in Lindford, Camp Lindford, the Rhineland.
And where in Germany did you live?
I lived, my dad had the idea when you were 18, I don't be responsible for you anymore. There's the door. And the boys always got their jobs to work for Bayer Pharmaceutical, and I worked in the hospital, lived in the hospital, and got paid. And
You were a nurse.
I was a nurse, and was I sorry that he said there's the door? No, because my dad, he ran the family with an iron hand. You didn't do it. Oh my goodness, he could.
It's like my grandpa.
He could let you know.
Yeah. And great grandpa. Yeah.
And then I worked in hospital and nurses always were able to find a job. Never had any problems doing that. And then after I worked in a mental hospital in Germany, and then I came to America and challenged the state board and worked at Presbyterian Inner Community in Whittier 29 years. I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was all good. Had my 2 kids.
Yeah.
The kids' father, and my second husband, Charles, my Frenchman. And I now live in California.
Beautiful sunshine.
Beautiful sunshine country. I couldn't live anywhere else.
Well,
Could not.
I love you.
I love you too, buddy.
You're
It was
gorgeous.
good.
Thank you for
You're
this.
so very, very welcome.
And I can't wait to share this
Thank you.
anytime. God bless.
God bless.